Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joyce Joy and today we will be discussing about the CSR expenditure, that is a corporate social responsibility expenditure. This is in the context of the COVID-19 outbreak that the Ministry of Commerce and Industries have clarified that the contributions the corporates or any company that makes to the PM CARES Fund, that is the Prime Minister's CARES Fund, it will be considered as a CSR expenditure, which is a corporate social responsibility expenditure. Whereas if any corporate or a company, if they make any contribution to the state disaster management fund or state relief fund or the chief minister's relief fund in any of the states, then this will not be considered as a CSR expenditure. So this is the clarification that the Commerce and Industries Ministry has recently made. So in this context, we will be looking into the CSR expenditure, what are the various provisions of it, and what is the reason why the state level fundings, why it will not be considered as a CSR expenditure, and why the PM CARES Fund will be considered as a CSR expenditure, etc. So let's begin. But before that, this is our channel StudyIQ, and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations like the SSC bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B examination, NABARD grade A examination, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams, various state PSCs, and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com, or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel StudyIQ, please do subscribe to our channel for getting more updates about our current affair videos. So let's begin the lecture. Let's start with the current affair. The current affair is that the Ministry of Commerce and Industry has clarified that the contributions to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund or to the State Relief Fund, it will not qualify as CSR expenditure, while any donation given to the PM CARES Fund, it will be qualified as a CSR expenditure. This is what we discussed in the introduction also. So any corporates or any companies which provide some funds to the state relief fund or to any of the chief minister's relief fund, then this will not be qualified as a CSR expenditure. Whereas any contribution made to PM CARES Fund, this will be considered as or qualified as a CSR expenditure. So here we need to know the rationale why it is so, and also the provisions under the Companies Act. Also we need to know the provisions of the CSR, all that. Very important for your examination, both for preliminary as well as for your mains examination. This is very important. So from that perspective, we will be looking into this in detail in this lecture. Let's see the details. The Chief Minister's Relief Fund or the State Relief Fund for COVID-19, it is not included in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act of 2003. So the reason is that the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act does not have a provision for CM's Relief Fund or State Relief Fund. Now what is Schedule 7? The Schedule 7 of Companies Act 2013, it provides the list of activities that can be included in the CSR. So Schedule 7 is nothing but a list of activities which can be qualified under the CSR expenditure. So it gives a list of activities that can be included in corporate social responsibility. And the Chief Minister's Relief Fund or the State Relief Fund for COVID-19, it is not included in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, and therefore any contribution to such funds shall not qualify as admissible under CSR expenditure. Now for your examination, Schedule 7 is very important. So Schedule 7 of the Companies Act of 2013. So what is Schedule 7? It provides a list of items which are considered to be CSR expenditure or which are qualified as CSR expenditure. Some political parties have criticized this, saying that it is discriminatory and it goes against the constitutional principle of federalism. So some political parties, obviously the opposition parties have criticized the government, the central government, saying that this is discriminatory. That is, if this state level fundings, for example the CM's fund or the state relief fund, if they are not qualified as CSR, what will happen? The corporates, they would be providing the funds only to the PMKS fund. This is because the CSR is anyway mandatory for the corporates and they will prefer to fund to the union government. So what will happen as a result of this? The state governments will receive lesser funds from the corporates. So corporates will not be willing to fund the state governments. Majorly they will fund the union government or the PMKS. So the political parties, especially the opposition, has criticized it, saying that this is discriminatory in nature. So discriminatory, it is biased towards the central government, and this is also against the principle of federalism. Now what is federalism? Under federalism we have the union government and we also have the state governments, but they work in close coordination and cooperation with each other. However, the donations to State Disaster Management Authority to combat COVID-19 can be counted as admissible under the CSR expenditure. So please do not confuse the State Disaster Management Authority's donations. That is, if the companies are making a donation to the State Disaster Management Authority, then this comes under Schedule 7 and can be considered as or qualified as a CSR expenditure. Whereas contribution to State Relief Fund. So State Relief Fund is different and State Disaster Management Fund is different. Now State Relief Fund is State COVID-19 Relief Fund. So this cannot be considered as CSR expenditure because it is not listed in the 7th schedule of the Companies Act. Whereas the State Disaster Management Authority funding or donations to SDMA, it comes under the CSR expenditure. So please do not confuse between both of them. And in the prelims examination, if you get a statement like State Disaster Management Authority funding to SDMA, it is not qualified as CSR expenditure, you might think that is correct because these two terms are very close. So there is also a probability that UPSC can ask you these close terms. So please do not confuse. Now let's come to CSR or corporate social responsibility. The term corporate social responsibility in general, it is referred as a corporate initiative to assess and take responsibility for companies' effects on environment and impact on social welfare. So CSR in general, it's nothing but the responsibility of a company or a corporate towards a society. So in general, we can say that the responsibility of a company or a corporate towards a society is called the CSR or the corporate social responsibility. And in India, the concept of CSR is governed by Clause 135 of the Companies Act of 2013. India is the first country in the world to mandate CSR spending along with a framework to identify potential CSR activities. So this point is very important. So we are the first country. India is the first country in the world to mandate. That means to make CSR compulsory. So the country India is the first country in the world to mandate CSR spending along with a framework to identify potential CSR activities. The CSR provisions within the Act is applicable to companies with an annual turnover of 1000 crore or more, or a net worth of more than 500 crore or more, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more. So CSR provisions within the Act, that is the corporate social responsibility provisions within the CSR Act, it is applicable to those companies. So now we are talking about the eligibility or which are the companies for which the CSR provisions are applicable. So either the annual turnover should be more than 1000 crore, or the net worth of the company is more than 500 crore, or the net profit of the company is more than 5 crore. So these type of companies come under the CSR mandate. So for these companies, CSR is mandatory or compulsory. And the Act, the CSR Act, it also requires the companies to set up a CSR committee. So we know that the CSR, the provisions of the CSR comes under the Companies Act. So this is the Act. Companies Act, we have specific provisions for corporate social responsibility. So the Companies Act, it requires the companies to set up a CSR committee. Now, what is the purpose of creating a specific CSR committee? This is to recommend a corporate social responsibility policy to the board of directors and also monitor the same from time to time. So it is mandatory under the Companies Act, under the provisions of corporate social responsibility, that those companies who are liable for a corporate social responsibility, they have to form a CSR committee within the company. So a CSR committee must be mandatorily formed, and the purpose of this committee is to recommend the policy, CSR policy, to the board of directors, and also to monitor the CSR activities taken by the company from time to time. The Act encourages companies to spend 2% of their average net profit in the previous 3 years on CSR activities. So how much amount has to be spent by the company? 2% of their average net profit. So last 3 years average net profit needs to be taken, and out of that 2% has to be spent on CSR activities. Now let us see what are the indicative activities. So what are the major activities that are indicated in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, for which the companies can spend this 2% as their CSR activities? Eradicating extreme hunger and poverty. So it can be used for programs to eradicate extreme hunger and poverty. Also for the promotion of education, gender equality, empowerment of women, etc. So these are some social issues which can be addressed by using this 2%. So promotion of education, gender equality, empowerment of women, etc. Combating human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and other diseases. So in all these activities, this CSR amount can be spent. Also for ensuring environmental sustainability, you must have seen many corporates are planting trees, undertaking afforestation activities, or cleaning up of water resources, etc. So all these will also come under this. So ensuring environmental sustainability. Contribution to Prime Minister's National Relief Fund or any other fund which is set up by the central government for socio-economic development. So this point you need to remember, because if a company makes a contribution to the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund or to any other fund which is set up by the central government for a socio-economic development purpose, then this is also considered as an expenditure under the social responsibility or the corporate social responsibility. And relief and funds for the welfare of scheduled caste and other scheduled tribes and other backward classes, minorities and women. So if they contribute towards the fund, any fund which is set up by the central government for the welfare of SCs, STs, OBCs, or the minorities or the women, so all these will also become eligible for to be considered as the CSR funding, corporate social responsibility funding. So here please remember that here it is the central government, not the state government. This is often confusing. So if any fund is created by the central government for the purpose of socio-economic development or for any relief purpose or for the welfare of these vulnerable categories, then this is considered eligible for the calculation under the CSR expenditure. Whereas if such similar funds are formed by the state government, for example the state relief fund, or if state government forms certain fund for the welfare of any vulnerable community, then this shall not be eligible. So that is the difference, and that is why now we have seen that the PM CARES fund, which is set up by the central government, it's a socio-economic development fund or a relief fund. It's basically a relief fund. So it is qualified under the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, which makes the companies eligible for the CSR expenditure. So this can be used as CSR expenditure. Whereas if such kind of similar funds are formed by the state government, it will not become eligible. So this difference you should be very clear with, and this is all about it. Now you can download the PDF of this lecture from our website www.studyiq.com. You can also get in touch with me on my Facebook page or on my Instagram page. You can also write to me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries and clarifications. Thank you.